Valuation is bar none the most important skill in commercial real estate. Guys, type in the chat why you think that is. Why is valuation the most important skill in commercial real estate? Answer me that. Riddle me that, Batman. What do you guys got? Let's see how smart you guys are. See if you've been paying attention all this time. All right. The reason it is the most important thing is, folks, what it really comes down to is very, very simple. You can have the perfect listing in the best area of town, in the best submarket. And folks, if you're asking too much for it, right, it's never, ever going to sell, right? It's like, well, I'll tell you what, we just did this example just a minute ago. Folks, do me a favor, type in the chat how much a bottle of water costs at your local gas station. Type it in the chat. $2 to $4. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, depends on the gas station. I tell you, I paid $3.99 for like a 20-ounce Gatorade the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, right? Okay, Mahid says $2. Cool, thank you. All right, what else? What else we got, guys? Guys, don't be shy. Come on, it's a small group of us here. Yep, $3 for your Fiji. Okay, whatever. You know that water doesn't come from Fiji, right? Like they don't truck it in or plane it in or whatever. Okay, so we got $3. Okay, cool. All right. So here's the thing, folks. If I asked you for $5 for a bottle of water or $6 for a bottle of water, would you look at me like I was like crazy? Right? Say yes or no. Type it in the chat. Right? If I asked you for double what you know a bottle of water is worth, okay? Yep. Yeah, of course, at a sporting event or at a concert, sure. But at a convenience store, if I opened a convenience store and I had $6 bottles of water, do you think I'd sell very many of them? Right? The answer is no. Why? We have an associated value with it. I'll take it a step further, guys. Okay. Let's go with Rosario. Can you hop on the mic for me, my dear? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Of course.
Question. So if I gave you a brand spanking new $20 bill and asked you to take it to the supermarket, let's say, and bring me back 20 singles, do you think you could do that for me?
Maybe.
Does your supermarket not carry cash? Do you think you could break a $20 bill for me somewhere at a bank? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, the bank, maybe, yes. The
go.
superstore, the store, they'll probably ask me to buy something, and then they'll break down the bill. I can't come back with $20.
Let's say a bank that you have an account at. You think you could get 20 singles?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So if I gave you that same $20 bill and asked you to bring me back 19 singles, do you think you could do that?
Of course.
Of course. Why? Because you take one, put it in your pocket, and you give the rest back to me, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Same example, same $20 bill. Do me a favor, Rosario. Bring me back 23 singles. Do you think you could do that for me?
No.
Pretty please?
No.
With sugar on top?
No.
Why not? Because
then they'll have to come out of my pocket.
And a $20 bill is not worth what, Rosario?
23.
There you go. Round of applause. Okay. Thank you. All right. And that's the point, folks. And here's the thing. When you're trying to get a price reduction from a client, you can absolutely use these types of scenarios. Why? Everybody gets it. And no seller on earth is going to give you $23 for a $20 bill. And in fact, you can run them through that kind of thought experiment, in a nice way, in a lighthearted way. Guys, remember this, and I want you to write this down, okay? It's not what you say, okay? It's how you say it. But how you say it is what you say, okay? Right? So you can say just about anything to people so long as you deliver it with the right tone and with the right intention behind it. Does that make sense, guys? Type a 1 in the chat, right? So the point I want you all to understand is you can say just about anything. It's all a question of delivery. Have you ever met anybody that was just abrasive as all hell and like no matter what came out of their mouth, it was like nails on a chalkboard, and you're just like, oh my God, that person just rubs me the wrong way. Guess what? They weren't dialed in, right, in terms of their social training, right? They just came. They don't understand how they're coming across to others. Conversely, have you ever met anyone that was just silver tongued and that they always just made you feel at ease? And just about no matter what they said to you, they delivered it with the right amount of either empathy or the right amount of tact. And so you never like offended anybody. You guys ever met anyone like that? Type a 2 in the chat if you ever met anyone like that, right? So the point is, folks, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But how you say it is what you say. So let's apply this now, okay? So you can use that exact analogy when going for a price reduction. Why? Because folks, right? You can say to a seller, Mr. Seller, it's neither in your best interest nor mine to put the property on the market or keep the property on the market for a price at which we know it's not going to sell. Now, here's the thing, Mr. Seller. The market is speaking, but the question is, are we listening? Right? Because folks, think about it. When you have a listing, what do you have? Nothing. You got a big fat goose egg. You got a possibility of making a check, okay? But you have nothing. So if the listing doesn't sell, what do you get? Nothing. If you keep it on the market and it doesn't sell and you get no offers, what do you get? Nothing. So guys, if you have nothing, should you be afraid of losing it? So many agents are like afraid of giving a listing back. Sometimes, folks, it's the best move you ever made. I was just telling my inner circle class, right? I've had many a listing where I gave it back to the seller and then I watched some other agent take it, like, 30 days later or whatever, and I watched them sit on it for the next 6 months and sit and sit and sit. I had this one 8-unit multifamily. I'll never forget. And and this thing was a dog. I had it under property under contract like no less than 4 times, right? And long story short, every time someone put it under due diligence, they just realized it was ugly, it was gross. Nobody wanted it. Finally, after a year and a half, and in and out and in and out of contract, I gave it back. I said, Mr. Seller, I just can't help you. Do you know what he did? He took it and raised the price, right? So logic doesn't always hit for all sellers. That's why my point is sometimes the best thing you can do is give a listing back. Does that make sense, guys? Like type an exclamation point if that's a little bit of a light bulb. Because what do we get paid for, folks? What are the 2 things? We don't bring money to a deal. So what are the 2 things that we bring to the table? What are the 2 things? Our time and our knowledge. Those are the only things we have to sell in the brokerage business. It's our time and our knowledge. And guess what, folks? You don't get paid anything for the time you wasted on a turd listing that's going nowhere. You don't get any, and you don't get the marketing dollars back because nowadays, LoopNet's 100, I don't know, 50 a month for a silver listing, right? So you never get that money back. You put this thing on the market for 6 months. Guess what? You just spent close to $1,000. And you know what? No one's going to give you that money back. Okay. So you have to be judicious with the listings you either take or how long you keep them for. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. And the root of all of it is valuation. It's pricing. Okay. So we're going to do like a quick little example. All right. So here's the cool thing that I want to share with you guys about valuation. When you sell an income producing property, okay, all you are selling is what's called an annuity. Does everybody know what an annuity is? Type a 3 in the chat if you know what the term annuity means. An annuity is nothing more than a stream of payments being paid out, okay? So like, for instance, you can buy an annuity at the bank or at a brokerage firm, and you give them $100,000 and they'll give you, I don't know, $2,000 a month for the next however many years, or $1,000 a month for however many years. You can literally buy an income stream. So the same thing goes with income producing property, right? So if you think about it, right, if an owner of a building, they're buying the bricks and the mortar, yeah, but realistically speaking, they're buying the income stream that comes off of it. So what's the most important part in understanding how to sell income producing properties? How that income stream functions, okay? Because at the end of the day, folks, money comes in the form of rents. Money goes out in the form of operating expenses. What's left over is called NOI, or net operating income, and you apply a local area cap rate to that income. That's it. So in fact, let's do a quick little survey. Guys, type a 1 in the chat if you've ever been told by the powers that be, managing director, commercial real estate training, blah, 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 that you have to specialize in one property type. One property type. You got to specialize in one property type. Type a 1 in the chat if you've ever been told that garbage, right? Folks, do you know who that benefits? That benefits the managing director. That does not benefit the individual agents. You know why? Because the managing director doesn't want the office guy to step on the multifamily guy's toes, to step on the industrial guy's toes, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. My point I want you guys to understand is once you understand the basics, how underwriting works, it doesn't matter whether you're doing it on a warehouse or a multifamily property or an office property or a retail property. Because again, all you're selling is an annuity. You're selling a stream of payments. Now, of course, are there some nuances? Yes, of course. And then we teach you about them in our coaching program, right? But what I want you guys to understand, at the base of it all, at the root of all of it, money comes in the form of rents, money goes out in the form of operating expenses. What's left over is NOI, and you apply a local area cap rate. Because here's the thing, folks, think about this. I really want you to think about this. If you need to be a specialist to sell different types of properties, why is it that certain people own a bunch of different types of properties? Right? Does that make any sense? Like, why would somebody own industrial and retail and multifamily and does everybody here know someone who owns multiple property types? Right? I rest my case. The point is that person should not be able to do it. If an agent who does this all day, every day, can't sell multiple property types, someone shouldn't be able to own multiple property types. That doesn't make any sense, okay? So what I want you guys to understand is once you understand how to underwrite property, once you understand how to ask $20 for a $20 bill, folks, the world opens up for you. I'll give you an example, okay? Can anybody tell me what the date was, I don't know, 54 months ago today? 54 months ago today. Simple, okay? It was March 22nd, 2020. Do you know what all of you were doing March 22nd, 2020? I know what you weren't doing. You were not in an office building, chilling out, having coffee with your coworkers, chit-chatting about the Real Housewives of Omaha or whatever. You know what I mean? You know where you were? You were watching TV, watching Netflix, probably watching Dr. Fauci talk about the flattening of the curve. Why? Because we were on shutdown in the middle of COVID, okay? So you're probably saying, like, what does this all have to do? Folks, I know agents that literally went out of the business, okay, because they didn't, they couldn't survive. They only knew how to sell one property type, right? Office agents in 2020 did not know how to, the ones that didn't know how to sell their property types or their entire database and their entire client list and all the landlords that they worked for, et cetera, were all in office. So folks, doesn't it make sense? All right. In fact, let's do an example. Who can grab the phone? Manu, can you hop on for a second, my dear? Maybe she can't hear me. Chris, Chris Alexander, can you hop on for a second, bud? I'll hop on the mic. I'll run a quick little example for you. Okay. Thanks for hopping on. Chris, have you ever been on on a road when it's like one lane in either direction and there's a fender bender up ahead? Like, what happens to the flow of traffic, Chris?
It slows down or stops.
It's down or stops. Exactly. Okay. Now, same situation, right? So you sit there, you wait for the tow truck to come, and then you go about your way. But same situation. Let's say you're, instead of being on a 1-lane highway, you're on a 4-lane highway. Okay. And you're in the right lane and you see an accident up ahead. What would you do?
I'll probably slow down.
Slow down? Maybe would you switch lanes possibly?
Potentially, yeah.
Get over to the lane that's clear, right? Because you're not going to want to like drive right up to it and just sit there, right? You're going to want to get around the traffic and so forth, okay? And then you go about your day. The question is, what does this have to, by the way, thanks for volunteering, buddy. So what does this have to do with commercial real estate? Simple. If you're on a 1-lane highway, the office lane, right? And heaven forbid, there's a fender bender and something happens, like we have a COVID or whatever, right? You're stopping dead. But if you're on a 4-lane highway that has office, multifamily, retail, industrial, okay? One of those has a fender bender, guys, guess what do? You still have 3 other lanes that you can drive across at the same rate of speed. You with me, guys? If this is an exclamation, type an exclamation point, if it's like a light bulb for you, okay? Because what I want you guys to understand is when you understand valuation, when you understand how to value properties, guess what? Okay, you could sell 2, 3, 4 if you want to, all right? Because what winds up happening is more property types gives you more options. You know what it also helps you do? It helps you hedge against unforeseen circumstances in the future. What if the market tanks and the multifamily market goes to the dumper, right? What if industrial, something falls apart and I don't know, something happens overseas and all the supply chains get disrupted like we had in COVID, right? You just don't know. I don't know what's around the corner. Neither do you. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I wouldn't be here, right? But the point is, we don't know what the future holds, but we know we do know. We do know that increasing the amount of properties we know how to sell safeguards us against that. And guys, type 4X in the chat if you realize that knowing how to sell 4 different property types, because you know valuation well, gives you 4 times the amount of opportunities. Type 4X in the chat. That makes a whole lot of sense. Okay? I'll leave you with this, guys. Every agent wants to sell work within a 10-minute radius of their house. I know, so do I, right? And I want to eat ice cream forever and never get fat, right? But the point I want you guys to understand is everybody, the average agent wants to stay as close to home as possible, okay? But let's just say there's X amount of opportunities in this little 10-minute radius, okay? Would it make sense that if you went from a 10-minute radius to a 20-minute radius, that you'd have 2X the amount of opportunities? 30-minute radius would be 3X, 40-minute 4X. You see where I'm going with this, right, guys? Okay. So guys, how many of you type in the chat 50K if you would drive an hour to pick up a $50,000 check? Yeah, Charlie says yeah. Anybody else? She the only one? I drive 2 hours. There we go. Yep, Miguel's yes. Okay, good. The point I'm making is, folks, okay, if you are willing to drive an hour to pick up a $50,000 check, you shouldn't think twice about prospecting 1 hour from your home. Now, let's do a little bit of math, guys. This is the point I'm driving to, okay? We already discussed that knowing how to sell 4 different property types because you know how to value, the most important skill in commercial real estate, okay? That 4X is the amount of opportunities you have. Now, compared to the average agent that wants to work in this little itty bitty area, for you to go from 10-minute radius of your house to a 60-minute radius of your house, you all recognize that you just 6X'd the amount of opportunities. So guys, what's 6X plus 4X? Type it in the chat for me, please. Type it in. What's 6X plus 4X? Not times 4X. What's 6X plus 4X? Yes, exactly, guys. 10X. So type 10X in the chat if you guys realize, okay, that having 4 property types, knowing how to sell 4 property types, and more importantly, opening up your geographical area, right, will allow you to, in theory, 10X what you're able to do. Does that make sense, guys? Right? More importantly, I'd like everybody that, if that's a little bit of an eye opener, type an exclamation point in the chat, okay? Very, very important. Because what I want you to understand is this, guys. When you have the right idea, when you have the right strategy, what it allows you to do, guys, is do work smarter, not harder. In fact, I had a conversation with somebody recently, and have you guys ever seen, like on a farm, when you throw out a bunch of feed, what do all the animals do? They all go to one little place, and everyone tries to eat from the center. And then there's a big fat hen or a rooster that picks up all the grain on the outside, okay? We are showing you how to be smarter than the average agent that just rushes into the middle. Because I know you know the areas that are super concentrated, all right? What I want you guys to understand is this. We have a plan, we have a strategy we can show you how to do so that you can drastically increase it. Maybe it's not 10X, But do you think if you had 5x more opportunities, you'd maybe close 5 times more business? If you get belly to belly with 5 times more people? Shoot, if you could get belly to belly with 3 times more people, do you think you'd make 2 times or 3 times more money? All right, guys, thanks so much for being here. Talk to you later.